episode of the Sean Farrell podcast. I am Sean Farrell. God is great all the time. All the time, God is great. Jesus Christ died and he rose again. Let's go ahead and get into it. So I saw this story the other day. I meant to do a video on this last week, but I didn't get around to it. There is trying to find the exact place, location. Maybe the location will be okay. So there is a story that mentions the Social Security Administration. Okay. And the story was written that the Social Security Administration, suicide is only one option. Social Security staff newly assigned to phone duties raise concerns over training. Okay. Experts and SSA employees question wisdom of telling callers in crisis that suicide is an option. Yeah, so the Social Security Administration has instructed employees newly assigned to answering phones to tell callers expressing suicidal thoughts that suicide is one option. Raising concerns from employees and experts in the field who call the approach unorthodox. SSA, Social Security Administration, recently began shifting new swaths of its workforce to phone answering duty, including those who normally receive and process retirement and disability claims, manage the agency's technology, and work in the agency's finances unit. Those employees received brief 3-hour training before they began answering calls. As part of that training, they were warned some callers may express suicidal ideation and presented with some examples using a theoretical employee named Fiona. It's important for Fiona to keep the caller engaged and remind her that suicide is only one option. The animated trainer told employees in the video, a copy of which was obtained by government executive, and that there is no urgency to make any decisions. Employees at the training, which occurred on January 26, for benefits authorizers and post-entitlement technical experts, were taken aback by the comment and asked their supervisors for clarity. Okay. One employee at the training said there was disbelief that it was just said among those in the room. Caitlin Thompson, a clinical psychologist who spent 8 years at the Veteran Affairs Department as a clinical care coordinator on the Veterans Crisis Line and later as the department's National Director of Suicide Prevention, said SSA's approach did not follow commonly accepted best practices. It's not a normal thing to say, Thompson said. No, that's not the thing you say to somebody who might be suicidal. Instead, SSA would be better suited telling employees to ask callers if they feel safe in the immediate term, and if they say no, to tell the caller that they will work with their supervisor to get them in touch with a crisis line. It's a very specific thing to be able to talk to people, Thompson said, noting that employees were not hired or properly trained to handle issues that arise on phone calls like those SSA processes. Of potentially suicidal callers, she added, it can't just be a sorry to hear that. An SSA spokesman said their phone agents can sometimes handle difficult calls from vulnerable Americans at the most challenging moments of their lives, and the employees are trained to encourage callers to stay on the line while they are connected with the Suicide Prevention Hotline, aka 988. SSA trains employees to handle callers in potential crisis situations with calm and compassionate service, the spokesman said. The trainings provided by SSA equipped employees with the knowledge to meet callers with an understanding and began discussing how SSA can best get them the help they need. The National Action Alliance for Suicide Prevention maintains a best practices framework for suicide crisis lines, which emphasizes that suicide should not be presented as acceptable. Research tells us that messages that present simplistic explanations for suicide, glamorize or romanticize suicide, or portray suicide as a common or acceptable response to adversity may spur imitation of suicidal behavior among marginalized individuals, according to the framework. Another individual who spent their career overseeing suicide crisis lines said it was appropriate for Social Security to prepare its employees for callers who may be expressing suicidal thoughts. Any potentially stressful situations puts people at an elevated risk for crisis, the person said. And callers into SSA could feel helpless. They said the agency's approach, however, appeared to fall short. The whole thing is odd, the long-tenured expert in the field said. Employees should be trained to recognize signs of crisis, telling all callers expressing those signs that it seems like they could use some support and arrange a warm handoff to a crisis line, they added. Presenting suicide as one option opens the door to a path the Social Security employee is not equipped to handle, the person said. If that is the one thing that they are being told to say, it puts the person on both sides in a potentially precarious situation, they said. Reassigned workers are obstinately handling simple calls, such as those involving changes of address, updates on claims, or Social Security card replacements. Those who already stated their new assignment said the calls just in the first week have become more complex than those for which they were trained. However, callers presented complicated issues related to their incarceration or immigration status, the employee said. Presented with these claims from employees, a senior SSA official told government executive last week that the workers were mistaken. If there's going to be this claim that individuals aren't receiving necessary training, I mean, it's just not true, the official said. Okay. So, yeah. So, I just want to go back to that last one for a second. If there's going to be this claim that individuals aren't receiving necessary training, I mean, it's just not true. Okay. I know when I started off with the Memphis Crisis Center, I was a volunteer. Okay, I started off as a volunteer. Okay, and so we went through 2 weeks of training. Okay, went through 2 weeks of training. After we went through 2 weeks of training, we had our observation period. Okay, we had our observation period, and the experienced volunteers, they showed us how to handle calls, how to handle these calls, how to handle this situation, how to handle this situation, right? And so it was about 4 weeks of total training. Okay, had 2 weeks of training, and then 2 weeks of observations. Okay, then we would get set out on our own. Okay. And so, no doubt about it, I was nervous. The first time I took some calls, I was nervous. But but made some mistakes. Yes, I did. Made some mistakes. But I remember the first call, the first person. I remember the first person I was able to help. The first person I was able to help. After I was able to help that person, that's when that's when all the nervousness went away. That's when everything went away. Okay, and after I was able to help that first person, I was like, yeah, I can do this. I can do this. And so I learned every day. I learned it every day. There were still people who were working with me. There were people who were working with me who were still helping me out. And so, yeah, so, and I got better. My first year was 2018 as a volunteer. I got better 2019, got better in 2020, 2021, 2022. And eventually I got and eventually in December 2023 I got hired as a employee of the Memphis Crisis Center. Okay. And so yeah. So I thought I read something in this story. Okay. Okay. Okay, so I thought I read something in the story that was a little bit telling. Um, it says those employees received brief 3-hour training before they began answering calls. As part of that training, they were warned some callers may express suicidal ideation and present examples using a theoretical employee named Fiona. Remind her that suicide is only one option. If you're training your employees to say that to a suicidal caller, then they were improperly trained. Because that's not the first thing you say to someone who is suicidal. Okay? That is not the first thing you say to someone who is suicidal. All right? So they were improperly trained. For those types of situations. And article also mentions employees at the training, which occurred January 2026, for benefits, authorizers, and post-entitlement technical experts were taken aback by the comment and asked their supervisors for clarity. One employee at the training said there was disbelief that it was just said among those in the room. Yeah. Yeah. That's something that you don't want to say. That is the quickest way to get somebody to hang up on you, a suicidal caller to hang up on you. That is the quickest way to get a suicidal caller to hang up on you. So, they were improperly trained. And they work for the Social Security Administration. Okay. And Social Security Administration, they are not equipped, are usually, most of the time, not equipped to handle crisis situations. Okay. So they were improperly trained. I just say that, okay? But again, yeah, that's something you should not say to a suicidal caller. Suicide is only one option, because in their mind they're probably going to think that you are encouraging it. Okay, so that's not the thing you say to a suicidal person. You want to use compassion, empathy, and engage the suicidal caller in a caring manner. Okay, and then ask them about the situation they are facing that has led them to this point where they're at. Okay, and then ask about any lethal means, guns, pills, drugs. Okay, and based off the answers that they give you, you can make a determine whether the situation is critical or low level. Okay, so yeah. So I would just say the people at the Social Security Administration were improperly trained. Okay, that's it. That's all for the Sean For Real podcast. I am out of here. Peace out. May God bless you all. You matter. You're loved. You're more than enough.